It's showtime.
Hello guys and welcome back to the STPL. My name is Kix, joining me is Rapid, and here we are with another game between BT and BuLL.
That's right. Surprisingly, a best of five has more than just the first game. Although
Yeah.
I think I have done best of fives with you where there was only one game and the rest were forfeits. But regardless, it's good to be back for our second game in this series. It's kind of a cool game. I would say it was a little bit one-sided, but it's not every day you see a Terran player sneak out a third, like literally right after he finishes his natural. So that was kind of a cool game to watch.
Yeah, it was kind of like watching a Protoss player actually, because Protoss players, when they see a quick expansion by the Terran, will often throw down a quick third Nexus, and I mean, that game it paid off. Like, we did have speed vultures for Flymeo, but they never went to the right spot, so I guess if you're not going to get scouted, that'll happen.
Yeah, go for it. Great way to kind of punish a player who wasn't confident enough playing aggressively enough to punish that after spamming early on. So kind of a cool game to watch, and I'll be excited to see if maybe they can bounce back from it as we get into game number 2.
Yep, so game number 2 is going to be a PvP, this time between Empute, who did play twice in round 1, but did lose both of the round 2 even, but lost both of those games. And his opponent for Valhalla team is going to be SFCA. Now, SFCA did go 1-for-1 so far in the STPL, is one of Valhalla team's captains. He's actually the co-captain in this case. And don't know too much about his play. He hasn't actually played a PvP so far, neither has Empute either. Obviously they've played it previously, but outside of the STPL, don't know too much about these players, so I'm kind of building up stories and information for them as we go along. But they're going to be moving on to Athena 2. And this is a pretty cool map.
Yes, it is, Kix. I think the coolest thing about it is not only that it resembles the current ASL map Sylphid, but also that it really kind of stresses you when it comes to where you want to expand. Like, if you're trying to get a third gas, it's way out there, so good luck with that one. But it also has some really cool dynamics. It's a 3-player maps. Those are my favorite kind of maps to watch. And it does really stress you when it comes to how you deal with where you spawn, because the spawning locations are not equal.
Yeah, there's some really weird sort of positional imbalances. Like 6 around about 6 has a lot of airspace around it, more so than the other bases, I would say. The natural, a little bit hard. Well, I mean, the natural is a similar situation in all of the cases, but realistically, it's a PvP, so whether or not those map imbalances are going to come in could decide on what builds the players do. I mean, we've seen a lot of PvPs that have ended after 6 minutes Rapid, so I'm not really too sure what to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of like our meme, right? Is that PvPs in STPL just kind of basically end instantly. One player does a build, the other player does the other build, and one of them is better, and then that player wins. So it's a little bit anticlimactic, but we did get a really good one the last time that we cast together, Kicks. So I'm not sure I want to totally write this one off. Let's see how it goes.
Yep, let's head into the game. It's BuLL Empute versus Valhalla team's SFCA. And starting us off in the top right-hand position, we do have the orange Protoss fighting for BuLL. It's Empute.
That's right, and his opponent is SFCA for Valhalla team. Of course, both playing Protoss. Valhalla's player SFCA is in the yellow at the 6 o'clock, and his opponent is orange. That's why we color code the names and the players' units, so that you guys can tell that even if we didn't say it in our intro. One of these days we'll fix that, but yeah, so it's 6 versus 2, I guess, if you want to say that, and I wouldn't say this gives either player a huge advantage. The thing I always look for is whether or not a player is flying into their opponent's base behind the mineral line or in front of it, with things like Reaver shuttles and stuff like that, because that's super common. So I would say that, if you are going into SFCA's base, maybe it takes a little bit longer to get in position for that, whereas if you're running up the right-hand side, with a yellow speed shuttle from SFCA. Maybe he's able to hit those probes maybe a second faster, but I don't actually think we should be seeing too much positional disadvantage for this game. And if we do, then I'll be really surprised.
Yeah, I think when we'll start to see positional disadvantages is if we head into that late mid game, heading in towards like the. It's kind of weird to call it the late game, but I would always call late game as PvP is when both of them are getting third bases, because it doesn't really happen all that often. Now, obviously that could be the case here. Athena 2, a little bit harder to take a third base, as you did say in sort of like the map intro. But I think we could see, we are going to see 2 gateways coming in from SFCA, so it'd be kind of cool to see what he can do with those. And we just see the single gateway and gas coming in from Empute, so it's going to be quick Dragoons from him.
Yeah, and this is going to be really cool. If you get that first shot off, oh, that's such a heartbreaker, because then you get the next one, and it's just going to be a little bit rough. But it's 2-gate coming out of SFCA, so he is not going to have the tech, but he will have just more stuff.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of games in the STPL over the 3 rounds of 2-gate versus Goon, and
yeah,
one of them on Katrina at the beginning of round 3 was a little bit one-sided, because unfortunately the player couldn't micro his Dragoon against everything that's going on, but we don't actually see a Dragoon coming in right away for Empute. He's actually not built a 7X core just yet, so he's going to go into a second gate himself just a little bit later.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a little bit weird, because he's also mined a bunch of gas. So it's like, well, why did you build an assimilator and mine gas if you're just going to go 2-gate without a cyber core? So, I mean, it's a defensive 2-gate, right? So theoretically, that just gives you the home field advantage. So he should be able to hold on with this, but it's not the best. Oh, wow, lost a probe, or the scouting probe got taken out, so that's actually a big deal.
Yeah, that was really, really nice micro there by Empute managing to get that. Now, you did see him throw the gateway down the second that he got into the base of SFCA, so I get the feeling that he maybe skipped the core just a little bit to make sure he had enough Zealots to not die. Maybe not feeling super confident in his Dragoon versus Zealot micro. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do in the world. Dragoons take a year to kill a Zealot, so very, very risky to kind of play that style. But Empute doing a really, really good job keeping that Zealot on the ramp, stopping SFCA from really ever trying to push up.
Yeah, I mean, so you said catch up. Do you think he actually has that much to catch up?
Wait, catch up?
Is that not what you just said?
I don't think so. When I...
What did
to
you
allow him
say?
to get up the ramp, maybe. Was that what I said?
Oh. Man, my ears are not working the right thing.
Well, it's because you sent me that GIF earlier and deafened not only yourself but me.
I said Kick's the most troll GIF in the world, and the last sound that it plays is actually the loudest thing I could ever imagine. And I forgot to tell him it was loud at the end. But oh, let's see if these Zealots can actually get up the ramp. Wow, that's actually a really sick block. I was surprised he wasn't able to squeeze up there. He's still gonna try though, but I mean, this is kind of like with Zerglings. You're just not gonna break that.
Yeah, now he did get a favourable engagement amputated, but of course SFCA with that home field advantage you always mentioned. Looks like Empute wants to try and break up again. He now has 5 Zealots against 3 and a Dragoon now. Looks like another Zealot about to go down. Nice pullback by Empute, not quite managing to save it. So that does go down, but he is still trying to break up this ramp.
Yeah, not sure really why that probe's there. It's blocking an extra Zealot from hitting. And I don't think it's actually... Oh yeah, it is actually able to hit. I keep forgetting that probes are just barely ranged. So that was pretty intense. I've not seen players use that quite that frequently. He tanks with the Dragoon. I thought it was actually bad Dragoon micro because he's taking Zealot hits, but he's actually just tanking with it.
Yeah.
Loses the shields, doesn't take barely any hull damage, and now he pushes across the map with way more units.
Yeah, now back at home.
The downside is that those units are Zealots and the other guy's got 4 Dragoons.
Yeah, the trouble is we're going to see Templar Archives from SFCA, so he's going to be going into DTs behind this. Luckily for Empute, he does have an observatory already, so that's going to be a big, big savior for him. These DTs going to be on the way already. 4 Dragoons at the top of the ramp going to block any further aggression coming in from SFCA. But now we're going to see SFCA going for a quicker expansion.
Okay, so that's kind of one way I guess you could play this. I definitely have seen players overcommit with the DTs and think, you know, they put on their DT cosplay back at home just so that they can feel really cool about themselves and like, I'm gonna win with the Dark Templar now. They don't expand behind it, and they try to be too, and it doesn't work out because you shouldn't probably put all your eggs in that one basket. Dragoons deal half damage to DTs, right? I believe they do.
I
The
don't want to
DTs
say
always...
because I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll look it up real fast, but I believe they deal half damage to DTs because every time a Dragoon is shooting at a Dark Templar, it just seems like the DT is like a Zealot, basically. It's just super, super tanky. Now, actually, one of the DTs from SFCA did juke the Dragoons, but there is an Observer with 2 Dragoons at the ramp, so, man, Empute is actually just super rock solid back at home.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. Sometimes you see Protoss players get one Observer, then they die to a backstab, but he isn't going to be that guy. He's going to stay on Observers for a little bit before going into Shotland. Great Dragoon micro at the front here. Gonna take down SFCA's Dragoons and one of those cannons. But the trouble is, I think he lost his Observer over here. This is a pretty big deal.
He did. There's no Observer. No, he didn't.
Oh, no, it's there. Yeah,
right
my
there.
bad.
It's invisible kicks. It's cloaked. You might need to upgrade some detection back there into your apartment. But either way, yeah, this is why you don't really go cannons against Dragoons, because you can just micro them with shields and kind of just run past. Also, why getting an expand in PvP is just the riskiest thing you can do. And now he's going to be able to cancel both of these cannons. There's never going to be more Dragoons here on the high ground, and this is just going to go from bad to worse. For Empute.
It is.
For SFCA, rather.
He's going to have to pull probes, I think, if he wants to hold on to this Nexus. I mean, he's using his Nexus to buy time. He does have 3 Dragoons coming in at once. We do have a couple of Dragoons coming over from Empute, but he's not going all in with his units here. He's going to stay back at home now. Weirdly enough, he's not attacking the Nexus. He's attacking the pylon, just to stop any future cannons coming up. But that's giving SFCA time to build enough units to defend against this.
Well, so the reason I said that SFCA wasn't ever going to have more units is because I saw the Robo support bay, and I'm like, well, he's just going to bring a Reaver over and the game ends, right? Because, I mean, he's got an Observer for any DTs, and the guy has only gateway units, and he's going to be trying to build more Dragoons, which in general, I don't know, I would have thought that would be the way he would go. But he is pretty slow. Oh, okay, so it is in production, but it's just going to be really, really slow. He added on, I think, 2 more gateways before he built the shuttle and the Reaver.
Yeah, now I guess the one thing that SFCA has going for him is, although he did lose the Nexus, he didn't lose any probes. Now, unlike normal, when you lose all the probes, he actually lost a lot of minerals in those cannons that A finished and didn't finish as well. So SFCA is certainly behind, you can tell from just the supplies that that is the case. Obviously, Empute does have his second base up as well. Now SFCA is going to try and hold on, possibly go for a little bit of a later expand. Empute not going to run in immediately to try and finish this. He is just going to wait for his Reavers and play it a little bit safe.
Yeah, and I actually think, now that I think about it, it's maybe a little bit smarter to put throw down the extra gateways, because anytime you're able to deal damage to your opponent's expand and you have one back at home, you're just ahead. So the victory comes not from killing the guy, but from not dying, because every second you're alive, you get more alive than your opponent is. So that might be a weird way to say it, but I'm just channeling my inner TY2 with that explanation.
It certainly makes sense. I mean, PvP is one of those matchups where, say for example, he runs up the ramp with his Observer, the Observer gets sniped by like a cannon or something and he doesn't see it coming, then all of a sudden a DT kills your entire army. Like, it's one of the things you need to be careful about. Now, he did do critical damage realistically to SFCA, and I mean, this is the moment where SFCA is like, well, I'm so far behind, I need to all in behind this to try and get myself back in the game. Now, if SFCA can maybe do a large amount of damage, maybe if he can kill this Reaver in the shuttle, he has a chance of coming back.
Yeah,
but Empute is in an incredible place.
Watch this first Scarab kicks. He's going to go out here and he's going to hit the nuttiest Scarab right up there. He's going to drop so that he's staggering the Dragoon shots. And look at that. The shuttle might go down, but the Reaver's full health. The shields will never get taken out. Okay, the shields just barely get... Okay,
the Reaver got taken out,
barely gets taken out, but everything else dies.
Yeah, no, SFCA had a valiant effort there to try and push his way back in, but Empute's macro has been insane. So many Dragoons. GG! And Empute takes down SFCA to tie up the series 1-1.
Yeah, wow, that was really cool. Oh, now I can see again. That was a really interesting kind of way to start it out. We didn't see that sort of Terry and cheese. What we saw was, I think, really a very cool reaction. I think a lot of times when you get two gated, all of us, and you're the opponent that, or you're the player that is going for that higher tech, Dragoons in this case, you're like, oh my God, I just, am going to be at a disadvantage because Zealots run in, I can't kill them fast enough, and they kill all my probes.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool reaction. Say, hey, I might be behind. This is not, or this might not be the best way to play the build, but I'm just not going to die. So he throws down the extra gateway, and I think after that, the cannon reaction to hold the expand from SFCA is a little bit questionable, especially after DTs don't do anything. So I don't know about that, but Ampute played that super well.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I believe he went for cannons there was to try and counter against any counter DTs, because the trouble is he didn't really know what tech his opponent had gone for outside of Robo, so he was just playing safe, I think, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him, and that's going to take us into game number 3 after this.